I'm back.
And we are back. We are back live on another Wednesday night here for ANZCAR Grand National, brought to you from Michigan. Welcome to the stream, everyone. I'm Stuart Brown, and I'm joined tonight by a special guest commentator for this evening, Chris Purnell. Welcome, Chris. And I think we've lost Chris there. He must have had a mic drop out. But Chris is going to join us tonight for this race from Michigan. And we've got a 13-car grid at the moment. We're just a little bit into practice as we get into this one. Are you there, Chris? You got your mic sorted out?
Yeah, I've got you there, buddy.
All right, so we're up and running. So good news there. I think I've just... we got the car audio there? I don't think we do. Let me get that fixed while... we get into this one. So Michigan tonight, around about 80 laps, I believe. The race length actually 85 laps for this one. So looking forward to this tonight. I think as we spoke about last week, Edward Foster has got this championship wrapped up. So just tonight going to be about whether or not he can get yet another win. So I think this will be 5 straight for him if he pulls it off, Chris, as he's shown some really good consistency in this series.
Yeah, he has. It's I've known Edward for a couple of years now, and I've raced him many times in different cars in the NASCAR scene. And yeah, he's very consistent. He knows what he's doing, and this car's definitely highlighted his strengths, and he's been able to pretty much clear away from the field pretty quickly with the last 5 wins. So, and I think he's taken 8 or 9 wins for the entire season, so he's had a pretty solid run this season.
Yeah, he's up to 9 wins at the moment, so looking to round that out to a nice even number tonight before we head to the only circuit race that we do next week when we head to, and it escapes me at the moment. I'll come back to you on that. We're heading to the Boot, next weekend. So next week, off to Watkins Glen. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on there. He's playing down his chances, to be honest, at Watkins Glen. So I wonder whether or not he might be just pulling a little Swifty there.
Yeah, Edward is a solid road racer, so I think he's probably playing his chances down a little bit more than he probably realises. It'll be interesting because these cars are completely different to steer on a road course. They're very loose, easy to lose control of them, so I think it's going to be all about consistency there. But yeah, Michigan tonight, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's pretty high speed. A lot of off-throttle response time to get the car to rotate from the you'll see guys running the second to third lane on entry into 1, and then they'll cut down to the apron as they come out of the corner and then slide right back up to the fence. And it's quite tricky with the bump out of turn 2 to get the car to line up without actually overstepping the mark. And then turn 3, you're just on the bottom the whole way around, just being real patient, let the car rotate, then just get on that throttle and get the drive out of the corner.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to tonight as we've just had another couple of drivers jump into the server as well. So good, we're out to 14 cars for the grid this evening. I haven't done the check on the stats here at Michigan. Any idea on the banking angle of these corners? We're going to see high speed or...
So you'll probably see about 305 to 310k an hour down the front straight into turn one. They will use a little bit of banking in one, but then in turns 3 and 4 they'll be quite low on the banking and not trying to use it too much. These cars have got quite a bit of understeer in them, so the higher you get to the wall, the harder it is to actually get the car to rotate. So I think you'll see a lot of guys sort of staying in that middle lane as the run goes on and as the tyres start to wear off a little bit.
Yeah, well, pit strategy has played a big part actually in our last few rounds, and no one has rolled that out better than Foster himself. Actually managing to save a bit of fuel and get himself through into the lead of the last 2 races, just with really good, solid pit strategy. So biding his time and sitting in behind the couple of cars up in and around him. Jason Hardigan been one of those drivers, along with Matty Hunter as well, with some really strong performances from them throughout the last few rounds. Another one to watch out for tonight as well is Lachlan Ukwejo, who has struck a little bit of bad luck with some blown tyres and bits and pieces like that in the last few rounds, but last week put in a strong performance. So looking forward to seeing who does get to the front of this field before we head into our road race next week. So plenty to come tonight. We're just about at the tail end of practice here, 2.5 minutes to go before we do get into solo qualifying. 2 laps, about 5 minutes it lasts for, and then we'll head into our race. And good time for us to quickly mention our broadcast partners. And better off, actually, while we've got you, Chris, it's a good time. I'm going to give you a minute or so to tell us about Virtual Motorsport Mentor. It's all good coming from us every week and on our broadcasts as we do, but rarely do we get the chance to have one of our sponsors in the booth to let us know what's going on in their business. So what are you guys up to at the moment out there at Virtual Motorsport Mentor?
Yeah, so at the moment we are working on some new content to bring to everybody. We'll be going to some more self-paced, self-taught courses over the next few months. We're just starting to put all that together at the moment. So we're still obviously doing classes with private coaching, group coaching, and all that stuff. And we can sort of specialise anything from racing a NASCAR through to road racing, GT, supercars. We're here to help you. We're more tailored towards the guys coming through that maybe don't have a lot of iRacing and sim racing experience, and we help you get up to speed a lot quicker that way. So, but yeah, we've got some exciting new stuff coming in the coming weeks.
Anything that you can, give us a little bit of a teaser about now, or it's all still in the works?
Yeah, I think I might just hold off on it for a little bit. I think it'll be more exciting when I drop it. I'm going to give away a few packages and a couple of other things coming up. So stay tuned. Make sure you check out us on Facebook and on our website, virtualmotorsportmentor.com. And keep in the loop with signing up for our newsletter. And we got some new stuff coming to you very shortly.
And looking forward to hearing more and more about that. I'll spruik on behalf of Chris, Virtual Motorsport Mentor. You'll see the logo just about everywhere you go in sim racing, particularly in Australia. Chris gets behind a lot of the series that are coming through with, particularly with drivers that, as you said, are just getting into it or are learning through the sim. A great way to get a step up and get into the knowledge that you need to go racing in these simulators. It's not as easy as just turning the old PlayStation on and running with the joysticks. So if you are in the market, Virtual Motorsport Mentor, the place to go. And I would be absolutely remiss of me not to speak of Ryan and the guys at AFTERSHOCK PC. Thanks for the follow there, Wapum. Ryan and the guys at AFTERSHOCK PC do a fantastic job for us in terms of getting us up and going. And we've got one of their cracking units that we use every week when we are streaming throughout the week. They've got plenty of specials on at the moment as well with some huge discounts. I saw $700-800 discounts on laptops at the moment, and definitely the place to go. They do ship, do a fantastic job as well in providing you with advice to give you a computer that's going to do what you need it to do. So if you are in the market for a new PC, aftershockpc.com.au, go and see Ryan and the crew. They will look after you.
I highly recommend them. They do a fantastic job. I got myself a unit from them as well and hasn't missed a beat once.
I was about to say, I forgot you actually also are a participant in the Aftershock community. So There you go. You can have it from someone as well. And I do need to declare, we fully paid for our computer as well. We're just lucky enough to have them as a sponsor. So they jumped on board with what we were doing when we told them what we were going to do with the computer. So yeah, absolutely fantastic guys there. Before we even got involved with them, as lucky enough to have them as a sponsor of the show. So getting into qualifying here, and we're going to jump on board with our series leader at the moment, Edward Foster, and see how he gets around here at Michigan. So the lap time, Chris, expected around here about 22, 23 seconds perhaps?
No, it'll be closer to the 40-second mark. So
Okay.
it's a 2-mile circuit here, so it is quite a long lap. But it really depends on the track time of day, rubber on the circuit at the time, to where in that 40-second region it's going to be. So we'll just ride on board with Edward for the first lap and see where he gets to. I'm just going to turn my sound down a little bit because it's very loud.
Yep.
That's better. So yeah, so as he comes out of turn 2, up against the wall, he's going to use all the track. He drives the car quite deep in, lifts at the traffic light just on the entry, off the throttle for a split second to get that car to slide and rotate, and then he's back on that power, driving it right up to the edge of the wall on the exit, and then you'll see him drop right down to the white line, underneath the white line to cross the line for his first lap. That's going to put him in at a 41.5. Not too bad. P2 at the moment. He's just been pipped by his teammate, JCW. So we'll see what Edward can do on the second lap.
Yeah, so Carol Walden obviously having a strong run as well. Got Roger Clark in third at the moment with a 41.96 or a 9.6. I think most of these cars will stick in that 41 to 42 second bracket. We've also got Equijo on an 03.09 for Clark, and Guilfoyle with an 09 as well. So dead heat there currently for 6th and 7th. But Devon Stone has upset that balance there as he jumps ahead with a 42.04. So as you would expect around here, really quite close timing for our pack. Got Scotty Rankin coming through there as well to complete his lap. He's done a 42.25. So a little bit of work to do there for Scotty in his third race in this series.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a long race, 85 laps around here. You're going to have a couple of things go your way with the pit window. You're going to get roughly 48 to 52 laps out of a stint, so you're going to have to pit at some point. It's whether or not that caution comes after lap 35 and you can make it home from there, or if you're going to have to throw the dice and try a green flag stop, which could be very challenging.
And obviously, with your calendar, you may not quite have kept up with what happened over the last couple of weeks, but we've actually we spoke about it at the post-race last week. I think it's 150 or 160 consecutive laps of green flag racing. So the chances of a yellow flag here pretty slim based on our viewing of the series so far. So the drivers do a good job to make sure that we get plenty of green flag racing here. So maybe that pit strategy going to come into play, as you've said.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and it's all going to be about managing when's the best time, when then tyres start to drop off a little bit. It seems like the tyres only go off maybe 3 or 4 tenths after that first 20, 25 laps, and you'll probably lose another half a second over the next 25 over the 50-lap stint. So you're going to be looking at about a second loss over the stint. So putting them tyres on at the right point could be enough to jump you up the track a little bit or lose you some time. Obviously, getting the car down to the right pit speed limiter to carry the speed through the lane and not get done for speeding is a big one as well. And then stopping perfectly in your box so you get them tyres on as quick as possible and get back out there.
I just noticed the livery of Brian Richmond. It's the first week we've seen him run while we've been streaming the coverage here, and he's in the old BP livery there. So Visco in the States back then, but definitely a good-looking car too. And that has everyone done with 19 seconds to go. So we've got Carol Walden taking out pole from Foster and Equijo in third. Thanks for the like there, Musco. And we've got Matty Hunter. He's done this before. I've jumped through the pack a little bit here, but we've got Matty Hunter who's not put in a qualifying time. We've seen him do this a couple of weeks ago and try and drive his way through the field during the race, so we'll keep an eye on him as he makes his way up, starting from 14th. We'll jump into the grid as the cars jump onto the track here. So let's bring that up on the screen for you there. And I forgot there just to put in it that we're in at Michigan. So we'll just jump that in there as well, so that looks a little bit better. So we've got From the top, Joshua Carroll Walden taking out his first pole while we've been here. We've got Foster in second, Equijo third with Richmond fourth. We've got Patterson and Clark in fifth and sixth respectively, with Devon and Norman Clark following them up seventh and eighth. Dean Goldfoyle in ninth with Carl Withy in 10th. Scotty Rankin in 11th and Matty Raymond in 12th. They're followed by Jason Hardigan and Matt Hunter rounding out the 14 starters. For this evening's race, you can see the cars are lined up there, just waiting for everyone to get onto the grid before we get started. We'll flick over that timing monitor so you can actually have a look at how many laps we've got to go, because that is of importance tonight with this field. Hopefully not too many yellow flags.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hopefully we get a nice clean green run and let a little bit of strategy come into it, see how the boys manage the race. I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good one. We've seen plenty of good close racing. It sort of splits into 3 packs for us during the race, so we end up with 3 or 4 drivers up battling with Foster for the head of this race. And then we have another solid pack of about another half a dozen cars as well. So looking forward to seeing how this one pans out. I've not done any laps at Michigan whatsoever, so for me this is my green race at this track. Kind of like last night when we went and did some dirt stuff, which I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed. So looking forward to bringing more of this stuff to you. I know just a little sneak peek that, albeit with next week is our last week of the ANZCAR Grand National Series. The series organisers have got some good stuff in the works, so you want to tune in for that. It's going to be exciting. We're going to throw some variation into the next couple of weeks, so looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, awesome, man. I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with. They get pretty creative with their schedules and stuff from time to time, and it's a lot of fun to get involved with them. I've done quite a bit of racing with them in the past, and I've always had a lot of fun racing with them.
Yeah, well, I think you'll be excited to see what's coming down the tube. I have had a little bit of a look at what's going to go on, and I sort of said to them, we're happy to broadcast just about anything racing related. So be as creative as you can, and they've certainly taken that on board. It's going to be a good one. So if you're interested in getting into some racing, these late year races are the best ones to get involved in, because generally the field's thinned out a little bit, so you can run in your own space and get some experience on track, and that's definitely the place to do it. We're about to get under the green flag here, as you can see that Mustang pull off onto the inside of the track. Hopefully he does not run into any of the crowd, as Mustang drivers often do. And we're about to get off and racing. We've got Carol Walden leading us away here, followed by Foster and Equijo, Richmond, Patterson, Stove, Clark, Norm Clark following him, Dean Goldfoyle, Scotty Rankin, followed by Carl Withy, Jason Hittigan, and we've got Matty Raymond and Matt Hunter at the back of the field as they get around into turn 2.
Foster's already got the run around the outside of JCW, coming down the back straight. I think he's already going to clear him. Yeah, he's cleared him into 3 on the first lap, which is an awesome move.
So brought up on the screen there for you, the track map. As you can see, it is a solid line of red at the moment. So the yellow circle for when we get a little bit later on in the race is the race leader. That is them highlighted on the screen there. I'm going to flick that over from race numbers actually to initials, so you can follow your favourite driver if you're looking for him. So do look for the initials there if you're looking to try and see. And Newbie Kiosk, thanks very much for the luck for the drivers. Just here to see Goldfoyle bin it well. Let's see if we can bring that to you. We do have, and I've mentioned this to you before, Chris, that Chris does run. We're fortunate enough to have Chris drive in some of our other series, and quite often I'll flick to a driver and definitely put the commentator's curse on them, and they'll spin out or come off. So we'll see what we can do there for you. We might just let this space out a little bit, but no, in all seriousness, hopefully we can have a clean run here. So it is Foster from Carol Walden here. He's trying to put a gap on. What's the drafting like on this track, Chris? How important is that?
So the draft's not as crucial as you would think it is here. Probably mostly because of the way the gearing's set up in these cars. As you sort of come past that start-finish line, you're already nearly at max revs. That lead car is going to be the car that wants to be in front, because if he's got the air around him, the car's going to be a little bit easier to control. Once you start getting back, you're going to get more understeer in the pack more than actually advantage from drafting up behind anybody. So it'll be interesting to see, because obviously when you're stuck behind somebody, everything's getting hotter. The tyres are getting hotter, the brakes are getting hotter, you're struggling to get the car to rotate, and it's just going to make your race harder and harder. So you may see, as this thins out, it might become better, or you may see some guys even pit early to try and get some clear air just to get on the front of the car so they can go. You'll see guys moving up and down the track to try and find a way past to keep the car cooler so they can keep pushing forward.
There's a little bit of a squeeze on there as well, and just jump forward here. There's a couple of small battles just developing early on in the race. Here we are only on lap 4, but some squeeze happening up on to the top of the track here. And I've just noticed, I think that car 197 of Stuart Patterson is actually, as we see there, on board with Brian Richmond as he's gone high on the track. Hopefully he can stay clear. No, he hasn't.
No,
and
caution.
Unfortunately, Dean Goldfoyle there you go. Noopy Kiosk, we said we'd bring it to you live, mate. We did exactly what we suggested we would. Why has he not gone into pit lane?
Because the caution's out now, so they'll have to wait until the pit lane's open.
Apparently not. Apparently he's just going to head in. So we've got Richmond and Goldfoyle, unfortunately, in pit lane. There was car contact there that caused part of that as well. So way too early for our leaders to be pitting in at this caution. So they'll do what they're doing now, which is just to make way. What I was going to say is that car come flying through in the middle there, 197. I'm pretty sure that's the guy that beat Lightning McQueen for the championship in cars. I think that's his livery.
It might be. Yeah, you might actually be right with that.
Is it Chuck? Oh, no, Chuck was the mechanic. I can't remember his name. But anyway, that guy, maybe someone in the crowd can let us know his name. The green car from Cars. What was his name? His livery's here. And they're all pitting in.
Yep, so they'll be topping the tank up to go further into the stint now. This is going to change the way that they run the race. So you might get a couple of guys stay out, but I can guarantee everybody will come in, take fuel. You might even see some of the back guys on the next lap round pit again and take more fuel just to keep that tank nice and full. It looks like we've got 2 guys staying out.
Yeah, Rankin and Hunter. So Hunter's gone from last to second.
Yep.
In his usual fashion of trying to make his way through the field. He's done that relatively straightforward there, but obviously still going to have to pit.
Yeah, so the tyre deficit's not going to be an issue here. We're only 6 laps into the race. These tyres take a little bit to start wearing out. The 2 that have stayed out will start to struggle a little bit more, say, around lap 30, where the other guys will maybe be nearly lap 40, you know what I mean, with that 10-lap difference.
As far as tyre degradation goes?
Yeah, as tyre deg goes. With the fuel strategy, these guys haven't played themselves out of it. It was only a one-stop anyway, really, with the fuel mileage. They're just going to have to run deeper into the stint and then pit and take more fuel, where the other guys will be able to run a little bit further again, and then they don't have to take as much fuel to make it to the flag.
Yep. Yeah, understood. So I'd always wondered about these early cautions and how they affect the way the drivers then plan out the balance of their race. And I really, at the end of the day, it probably doesn't help because it's not like circuit racing where you can, there's more cautions in oval track racing or in NASCAR racing than there is generally in circuit racing. So you can't really plan for a caution.
No, it's very variable. Everything changes constantly. So you've got to, these guys are, as much as there's different techniques for different racing. So obviously circuit racing takes a whole bag of techniques to be able to turn right and left, make passes, that sort of stuff. With oval racing, the racing's still got its own challenges. There's this sort of theory behind oval racing. Oh, you just turn left and you just keep the throttle pinned, and it's not like that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of little things that can happen. There's lots of restarts, so you're constantly battling guys. It's like you might get the jump on somebody, you might run 20 laps into the run, then the caution comes back out again, and then you got to fight them guys again. So you got to learn to manage when to go, when not to go, when to pit, when's good not to pit. So there's a lot more going on in these drivers' brains mentally than probably physically, where road racing is more of a physical thing of just banging out the laps, getting your clear air and just going for it. So little different sort of niches into how to control these cars.
Yeah, and I must admit, I was a proponent of the whole, look, it's just turning left, it can't be that difficult, until you actually get into doing it, and then you realise that there's a whole heap more strategy into it than just that. So, you've got to really have more of a plan than just trying to get in and turn left. Tyre strategy is big, and this tyre management is actually bigger than it is probably in in circuit racing, because of how hard the tyre works, and really pays such a big contribution towards your ultimate pace towards the end of the race,
Yeah,
than it
that's
does in
exactly
circuit
right.
racing.
Yeah, that's it, man. And it's like when do you use that tire? You know, where circuit racing, you kind of want to get that gap early, build the gap, and then you can manage your race from there. Where this, if you go too early, you're going to use your stuff up, and then you're going to get attacked at the end, and you're not going to have anything to fight with. So it's just being about being prepared for different situations. Where, like for road racing, for instance, I'll have 2, maybe 3 plans in my brain of how I'm going to attack the race. But with oval, you might have 15 to 20 plans of different things, and you tend to collect knowledge and data from each race, and you go, okay, I can use that later on for if this situation happens or that situation. So these guys are constantly thinking, they're constantly weighing up the next option, what to do next.
Interesting as well that Scotty Rankin decided not to pit at that juncture, because he has got Foster Clark, Carol Walden directly behind him, and they've got slightly more fuel. So he's out on his own here too, so not getting the benefit of working with another car to try and create a gap. He's punching a hole in the air all by himself, and he's going to work the tyres on that harder to try and build a gap. And Foster there, you can see, trying to chase him down in the background. We've got Clark and Carol Walden fighting right behind him. We'll jump on board with them. You can see them there side by side. He's got a slight undercut there. Clark down on the inside line. So generally here, high line, any advantage or?
Not really with these cars. You may find somebody might try towards the end, but it's not really as beneficial as say it would be in the truck or something where the car tends to burn the tire up more. These tires seem to be quite durable and last a lot longer than a normal stock car. So I don't think you'll see anybody go as high as the wall, say, but you might see somebody get to the second or third lane the whole way around the circuit by the end of it, depending on where the car balance is. You've got a couple of adjustabilities in the car. Even though it's a fixed setup, you've got your steering offset, your steering ratio, and some brake bias, which those 3 tools can actually determine how the car drives quite massively, you know, so it'll change the balance from understeer or oversteer or tight or loose, depending on where you're from and how you interpret it, but it's, at the end of the day, it's all the same stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because we generally have commented in the last few weeks on Matty Hunter. He likes the high line in the Ford, and I've noticed a couple of the other Ford guys as they change throughout the weeks, but a couple of the other Ford guys as well taking that high line in that car, and I'd wondered if maybe it just suited it better to run that either that third or fourth lane on the track to get some sort of speed out of that car, and it seems to work for him. So
Yeah, it could be like, because both cars are different, they've got different aero packages on them. So even though the cars are very similar underneath, there's still little differences between the cars. So the way that the car sort of runs through the corner and catches the air and stuff like that. So I've never driven the Thunderbird, so I can't give you a valid sort of answer for why that is. But it could be just something as little as not being disturbed by the wind of the car in front. The car might just like to sit a bit higher, so it doesn't move around as much when he's turning the car at the corner.
as we're still on board here with Norm Clark, so he is running 6th at the moment. He's up 2 spots. Jason Hardigan, the biggest mover in the pack here, he was running up the front last week as well in the JP Sims shed entry, and he's up 6 spots from his qualifying position as well. So he's our biggest mover, other than Scott Rankin at the moment, who I've noticed has just lost the lead to Foster there. He's right on his tail, so going to be careful here, battling away just to make sure that he can get away, Foster. But Rankin here not letting him go too easily, just continuing on at the low line there. Edward would, with his experience, know that he doesn't need to necessarily fight this battle at this point in time, with Rankin still needing to pit, both obviously needing to pit, but Foster taking advantage of that early yellow flag to top up his fuel, so he will run longer, getting a draft there as well behind the Ghostbusters machine of Rankin, so and making the pass.
Just using a little bit of air just to be impatient, and then just pulls out at the last second to cut below. It's going to get really close on exit here. Scott's just going to have to tuck in for the moment. He may get a run, but see Edwards just broken that draft a little bit now, so I don't think Scott's going to get a go back at him. Scott's driving the car quite aggressively into the corner where you can see Edward lifts off early, gets the car more planted down the bottom, and then picks the throttle up, and then he gaps him.
Able to drive out of the corner.
Yeah, he's just able to pick that throttle up a little bit quicker than Scott is, just pull a little bit of a gap every lap, and that's the way that they work in oval. It's not seconds, it's not meters, it's feet and inches and milliseconds. You work in very, very short periods, so it's all about the little gain, not the big gain in oval racing.
Just having a quick look back through the field here, and we've got still some close battles going on. Carroll Walden and Clark, these three here, just battling away. That's Clark, Carroll Walden and Clark, so Roger and Norm battling away here for 4th, 5th and 6th. So remember as well, Carroll Walden was our pole sitter for this race, so he's dropped a couple of positions in this part, not through the pit stop either, so he did jump in for fuel as a majority of the pack did. In fact, everyone in the pack did other than Scotty Rankin. So be interesting to see how this little battle plays out with these cars.
Yeah, I think Josh has just been a little bit more patient with the tyre. It seems like the two in front of him are driving the car a little bit harder than Josh is. He's been a little bit more patient, waiting for the race to come back to him. I think you'll see him pass these two, pull away in the next 15, 20 laps. I think you'll see a change for that position again.
So just managing tyres?
Yeah, I think the way he's sort of driving the car, from what I can see, is he's just being a little bit more cautious with it. It's not trying to scrub the tyre too hard too early, because that does have an effect with how good the tyre is longer at the run, So what he'll be doing is just being a little bit more patient, let that tyre come up to temp a little bit more, and then I reckon by about lap 7 to lap 10, he'll start to be a little bit more aggressive with it. The tyre will have a little bit more durability than what, say, the guys in front, and they've just gone hard on a cold tyre straight out the box.
So just jumping up the front here, this gap's still sort of just around a quarter of a second, so just slightly pulling away. Foster ever so slightly. He will eventually break that draft completely and will pull that gap out to a second or so at a minimum, we would suggest. But Rankin here not doing too bad a job in trying to keep up with him. He's got to be careful he doesn't burn his tyres up too early, and as a consequence of that run out of luck. So, but closing up again on the back.
Yeah, I think with a little bit less fuel, he's able to sit a little bit closer as well. So there's a couple of factors there. It'll be interesting to see where he's at after another 10 laps, if Edwards starts to pull that gap, or if he's able to go with him until the pit stop. Because I think if Scott can play himself into the window, where Foster's tyres start to go off around the same time and he's still within him, I think he's actually got a shot at it as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over the next 20, 25 laps.
And is the tyre wear at Michigan relatively aggressive, is it? Or not so because of the type of tyre these guys run?
No, it's not really with these cars. I mean, I haven't done a lot. There's been a massive wreck just back. Lachlan
the Quijo's gone off. He's sitting on the top of the track there. And they brought the caution flag out for that one. He's only had a big slide there. He's had a bit of a bump in the back corner. We're just trying to bring that one up in a replay, actually. So just bear with us.
He's had a big moment turning the corner. Roger Clark's sort of jumped underneath him, hit him in the side, and fired him up into the fence. So that's going to make Lachlan's day a lot harder now to come back through, especially if it's damaged the car. The car doesn't look too bad, so he might have got away with that. There's a little bit of right rear quarter panel damage, but other than that, I think he might have got away with that one. So he's very lucky if he hasn't damaged the motor.
And what do we see here? Do we see another round of pit stops just to top that fuel back up 20 laps in, or is that advantage gone with the tyre wear after 20 laps?
I would assume that you will see most of these guys come back to the lane. Now, this has really helped Scott's strategy out. This has put him back in a window. They're still not quite there for a pit to the end.
Yep.
So you might see some guys stay out, but I really believe that, I mean, we've gone 12, 13 laps now on this stint, so I reckon everybody will come to the lane, new tyres, fill that tank right up, and then there's going to be a splash near the end. You might see somebody being crazy and trying to save that 15 laps of fuel, but I just can't see it unless we get a couple of cautions.
Yeah.
But it's going to change the dynamic of the race now.
And you can see there they're all filing in as you correctly picked, other than Matty Hunter again. He's decided that it's a good idea to get back up to the front of the pack here. But yeah, everyone in pit lane. So we'll see a full raft of pit stops here. We'll might jump on board actually with Foster here as he jumps into pit lane, just so you can get the full experience of this is the only pit stop actually where is he going to take tyres? Yeah, there he goes there.
Yep.
That's funny. We can't actually, as spectators, see the pit crew running around the car to get the job done.
No, you can't. So
you can in the normal stuff.
Yeah. So the way that the pit crews have been designed is they're only set on certain cars. So they're not actually designed on these cars yet. So that's why we can't see the pit crew, because they're a little bit different to what pit crew in current day is.
Yep.
It looks like there's a couple of guys that have taken 2 tyres.
Correct,
there.
yeah. That's what I was just looking at there, because we've got Hardigan who's jumped, Withy who's also jumped, and Foster and Scotty Rankin got out at almost exactly the same time, so they're on exactly the same strategy there. So yeah, that early stop now completely eliminated in terms of the order of the grid. So sort of back to square one for a lot of the guys. How will the 2 tyres play off here? They would have done the working side of the car, so the outside tyres.
Yeah, so they would have gone right side tyres, so it won't affect the car too much. Maybe for the first couple of laps, the car might feel a little unbalanced, but because you are scrubbing them right fronts quite a bit, I think within the first 5 to 6 laps, the car will start to balance out. You don't really use the left sides too much here, so I think you'll find pretty quickly. As Matt Hunter just rolls into lane, so he's obviously just pitting a lap later, getting that extra little bit of fuel in by circling for another lap and having a clear pit lane, so he's not having to worry about hitting his marks and avoiding other cars in the lane.
So we'll squeeze up here to Jason Hardigan, our race leader at the moment, JP Simshed car. And yeah, he sort of managed to make the most of it here. He's up a whopping 12 spots now into the lead of our race, as all of our cars with Matty Hunter now in pit lane will have done a service under this safety car period. You can see the lights on the Mustang there are out, and we will be back under green. We've still got a little bit to go in this pace lap, obviously just entering the back straight of the track. So yeah, all guns blazing from here on out. Expect to see Foster Moo try and make his way back up to the front. He battled hard with Hardigan last week, and see if Scotty Rankin and Carol Walden can jump onto the back of that charge and move their way up the pack.
Yeah, I think you'll see that Carl and Jason will probably have the advantage for the first lap or two. And then I think you'll see Edward and Scott come at them pretty quickly and get past them and sort of clear them. I think even though they've taken 2 tyres and it won't affect them too much and it'll give them some track position, I think the 4 tyre guys will swallow them up pretty quickly and move away.
So we how far into this one as the car gets around? Just waiting for that caution to go out. We've done 22 laps now of our 85 lap race here at Michigan Raceway, and we're off again with Hardigan in the lead. Withy and Foster behind him. We've got Scotty Rankin, Carol Walden a little further back from Clark, Raymond and Roger Clark. And Matty Hunter and Lachlan Laquijo bring up the rest of that group. We're just going to jump to a little bit of a wider camera here so we can see what's going on. As you can see there already, Foster jumping right on the back and in fact going past Carl Withy there down into turn 2 as they're gapping the field there. We've got Carol Walden over Rankin as well. So Scotty Rankin dropping a little bit further back at the restart. He should jump in behind Carol Walden there and try to keep that momentum going. And
Scott's just hit the wall hard out of 4.
Okay, that's not going to help his chances at all, unfortunately.
No, he's just lost 7-8 tenths of a second, and now he's going to get swallowed by the next 3 cars as well. And it looks like he's done quite a bit of damage to the front of that car because he went in quite aggressively. It scrubbed all the
you can see it there. You can see it there. He'll be furious with himself after such a good start. to the race. So he'll get eaten up, as you said, by the Clark brothers, who are looking to pounce. I'm assuming they're brothers. They might be
No, they're
father and son, actually. Yeah, I did actually know that. It's just easier to call them the Clark brothers. Maybe just call them the Clark boys. I don't know what we'll call them. But yeah, look, those two, Roger and Matt, my apologies, Norm and Roger, they're going to make their way past Scotty. And he can pull in and get some of that damage repaired, surely. It's just going to put him down laps. So he's going to try and manage it to a yellow flag if he can, to make sure that he can get it repaired as efficiently as possible and not lose too many laps.
Yeah, what you'll see is if we get another caution, he'll pit, probably get his tyres and his fuel done, and then he will pit again the next time round and get as much of the damage complete as he can. So it's just a matter of if he can hold on. He's driving the car quite aggressively with the damage, which can be a recipe for disaster as well. So he's just got to manage himself a little bit here and not get too carried away with what's going on.
We'll keep an eye on that in the background on the timing monitor. It's still Jason Hardigan from Edward Foster. And we might as well be racing like we did last week. This is pretty much what we covered for a fair bit of the race last week. So let's keep an eye on this battle, which Edward managed last week. He literally just sat in the behind and ran a little bit of a conservative run. We did not have any yellow flags, so he was able to save some fuel and do a shorter stop and do the overlap or undercut, whichever way you want to look at it, in last week's race to end up taking that one out. So 26 laps through the 85 laps at Michigan tonight. So let's see how this continues to pan out. Scott Rankin now still lapping with the pace of those around him, so he's obviously found a way to drive that car with the damage. So he is still battling with the Clark boys in at that 5th, 6th and 7th position. Matt Hunter up into 8th, and we've got Matty Raymond and Lachlan Aquajo back in 9th and 10th respectively. And unfortunately down to 10 cars already. We've got 4 out, Patterson, Stove, Richmond and Gulfoyle out of this race.
Yeah, it's a shame to see 4 cars out so early. But yeah, unfortunately 2 of them blew that motor on that first incident and no fast repairs in this one. So as soon as that happens, your race is done. Like after the repair, you're 40, 50 laps down. So there's no point cruising around. You're not going to gain anything out of it. Well, as Roger does a nice little slide up the track, Scott's come back underneath him, but these guys are racing hard for 6th and 7th. So putting on a good show for us.
Yeah, so we'll stick with them. Hardigan and Foster, I'll keep an eye on that interval there just to see how they're getting on, and we'll stick with this battle here. There's Rankin battles with the car as well as with the other drivers after that little bit of damage on the right front there. You can see that as we have him pan past us. Just said down onto the rear as well, so it was a big hard hit. He's doing a good job managing the car, though. He's obviously adapted to that quite well, so it's good to see him keep going and not be too badly affected by it.
Yeah, definitely, and I think the benefit of it is because these are steel body-based cars, the damage doesn't have the same effect as it would on, say, a new Cup car or a new Xfinity car, because they're based on a carbon composite body. When you bend those, that's it. Your race is practically over. So, especially at certain tracks, Michigan, you can kind of get away with it a little bit because it's so high speed. It does affect it, but not as much as, say, if you went to Bristol or somewhere like that where it's tight and fast. You need all that aero to help the car rotate and turn.
The gap at the front still only a 10th as well, so I'm just going to jump back up with them and see what's going on there. Yeah, that's what I suspected. Edward Foster now really pressuring the back of Hardigan as he now looks down the inside into turn 2 to see if he can get the job done there. He's going to take that low line. Hardigan's slid up high, and that's let Foster come through on the inside line. Is he going to get the job done? Just depends on how Jason goes into that top segment of the track coming into turn 1. They're doing really well here. Yeah,
so Foster should clear him mid-corner here. And then there you go, yep, and he'll slide up, take that air off the front of his car. And I reckon that'll be about it. Jace looks like he's going to have another crack at him down in the 3. but I actually think Foster's car's working a little bit better off that second line, so I think you might see Foster stay ahead here. Actually, no, Jason's got a good run again, so them 2 tyres seem to be working quite well for Jason at the moment.
He's going to try and push him up the hill a little bit there. Is he just move him high line, and that's actually going to pay off there. You can see Foster driving away on that high line, so just pulling in behind him to get the draft here. We might have another dig at it as they head down towards the back straight. Really the only straight section on the track. Would you really say this has got 2 turns? I mean, really from the end of the back straight all the way around to the start of the back straight is one big turn.
Yeah, it is, but it's the way that the guys look at the corner. So NASCAR guys break the corner into 2 segments because they want to talk about their entry to their mid and then their mid to their exit. So even though it is one big turn, they still do break it into 2 turns, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, so turn 1's all about your entry approach and getting the car to rotate. Different driving styles require different things. There's a couple of guys that I know that are very aggressive into the corner, and then they try and get the car to pivot as much in the middle of the corner and then drive the car square out. Some guys are more like a momentum-based driver where they try and roll the car through the centre the best that they can and then keep that momentum up, and that helps with the high line stuff at certain tracks. So yeah, there's different guys that'll do different stuff, but that's the reason why they break it up into multiple turns, even though it's just one big turn.
Yep. And I guess you got to have some point of reference to hook them all together. Otherwise, you would be slower trying to drive around them all as one continuous bend.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's just understanding where the car behaves differently and where you want it to behave, so you can sort of talk to the people that you're working with to help improve that car in certain areas.
It looks like Foster's just trying to do the same thing to Hardigan that he did to Rankin, and just trying to break that draft. Not quite working out for him just yet, but it is slowly stretching.
Yeah, he's just starting to pull a little bit. I think you'll find that Jace's tyres will probably start to drop off in the next 15 laps. I think he'll lose a little bit more momentum than Edward, but if he can sort of sit there with him, it could play back the other way as well. So we've just crossed the line with 50 to go, so you may see somebody try and undercut at some point in the next 10 laps, but I think you'll see a lot of these just guys go as far as they can into the run now, maybe hoping for another caution. They've had 2 this week so far already, so we don't know. It's Jace, looks like he's going to have another crack down into 3 on Foster.
Just seeing if he can get... Yeah, he's going to get it done again here. There's 2 just sort of playing a little bit of chicken and egg for this section. So one of them, obviously both of them did pit under that last yellow flag. I wonder if one of them might try and pull out to see if they can get the undercut done during a pit stop.
Yeah, you might see one of them throw the dice and see what they can come up with, but there's a risk versus reward here as well, and if you go too early and there's a caution and you're a lap down, you're in a lot of trouble from that point, and there's a good chance you're not going to get your lap back. So but then in saying that as well, at least they can make it home on fuel from this point, so they might just stay out and be on older tyres as well. So it's really going to come down to a couple of things on who's willing to take the risk. I don't think you'll see Foster maybe take a risk, but you might see somebody like a JCW or Jason Hardigan that might try and spice it up, to have an opportunity, because I think if they keep going at this rate, Foster looks very strong at the moment, and I think it's going to be hard to beat him tonight again.
Yeah, he's certainly unbelievably consistent in this car. Probably, I guess it's one of his favourite ones to run with how well he drives it. So it's also closed up behind these guys. It is a couple of seconds back down the road, but Carol Walden and Carl Withy there are just in the similar style battle to the one that we're watching. So we'll just flick back to these guys here. And then there is another one still, Roger Clark and Scotty Rankin still battling a bit further down the pack. So just give some coverage to these guys for the minute and see how they're getting about on it. It doesn't look like there's a clear, quicker picture around the track. It's just a matter of working out what suits the cars best. It's annoying that we haven't got Matty Hunter a bit further up, because I'd just be interested to see in the heat of a battle what line he would end up running, because it's been good to watch him run that higher line and challenge the guys every week, as he has been doing.
Yeah, he's only 8 seconds off the pack as well. These guys could be going a little bit harder than he is. He might start to come back into it a little bit later on. So, yeah, I wouldn't discount him out just yet. It'll be interesting to see where he plays into it. I know Matt quite well. He's very consistent. He knows what he's doing. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays the rest of this race. It doesn't look like he's got that outright pace, but I think he might be able to sort of manipulate a decent result out of it.
So you can just see there as well on the back of this battle, Norm Clark has closed up on the back of Carl Withy, and Carol Warden's actually managed to get a little bit of a gap, so that's helping him. So these guys will end up having to work together. And that's the thing in this as well. I keep mentioning working together. There's a lot of sense for these guys to actually just sit in a pack and increase their average lap speed by using the draft together. In isolation, these cars can't achieve the same top speed as they can using the draft. So if you need to catch a group, you need to work together as a group to get there, and that'll be probably in the back of their minds as well as they try to catch up to these lead two.
Yeah, definitely. The draft's not as big in these, but there is still that factor in there where you've got to sort of use the air and manipulate it in the correct way. Definitely, as you look into certain tracks, it will be more effective than other circuits. But yeah, Michigan is quite a fast-flowing circuit. The only problem with the draft here is through the corner, you lose all your front end and you can't get the car to rotate as well as you want, and that's why you'll see a lot of guys separating as they go into the corner. One will go high, one will go low, and that's just to try and keep the air on the front of the car so they don't get all that tight and understeer feeling.
I just saw there with you getting a little bit loose and running down below the control line on the track, so managing to hold it there. As well, I'd just be interested to hear, Chris, what we can expect next week as well, trying to drive these things around a road course.
So they will be out of control, if I'm being completely honest with you. Because the car's braking systems aren't great in them, they turn quite nicely considering what they are. You would think they wouldn't be as nimble as they are, but they actually do steer quite well. Not very well on throttle, but so I think you'll find a lot of guys just trying to roll the car through the corner more than trying to attack the corner. Yeah, so I think you'll see a bit of a mix-up in the way that the cars will be driven, just in the way that they're going to move around. I don't think your tyre wear is going to be an issue. I think you can be quite consistent for a long period of time. Watkins Glen's quite a fast track, lots of right-handers. There's only a couple of left-handers, so the cars will be quite easy to steer in that sense when they go left, but not so much when they go right, so it'll be an interesting race, definitely. I think you'll still see the same sort of guys up the front. I'd probably put the favour,
Put your money on?
Yeah, I'd probably put my money more on Jason as a road course racer over Edward. I've raced Jace quite a few times as well. He's quite consistent. He's fast. I know when he first joined ANZCAR back last year, he was actually his first race he won on a road course. So he knows what he's doing. And he's putting up a good fight here. He's become a more consistent driver over the last few months since he's been running more regularly. So I would probably put my money on Jace for a road course win, but never say never to Edward either, because he knows what he's doing. He's been around a long time, and he knows how to manipulate the car to do it what he wants to do. And he's had some solid results in the Cup Series on road courses.
And obviously this is a fixed setup class, but they'll have the car set up to run on a road course. They're not going to run the camber setup that they run on a course like this.
Yeah, so there is a fixed iRacing Watkins Glen set that they'll use. So the car's set up more for a road course. I could probably tell you, if you just gave me a moment, what sort of camber they're running. Watkins Glen.
Because I'm just interested to understand how they handle in comparison to what we're traditionally used to. Obviously with, this is closest to probably a V8 supercar, not now, but you know, a 1990s V8
Yep.
supercar, early 90s V8 supercar, probably not too close to the Group C, Group A era where, you know, there's a fair bit more modification. But aero-wise, certainly closest to that period of time as well. You know, they've just got that small wing on the back of them with the fairly unaerodynamic front end on these cars because they're based, as you said, on a steel body rather than a tube chassis setup.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the cars, they'll move around a lot like the old era supercars do, like your 1990 supercars. So just looking at roughly what they'll run camber wise, they're going to run around 4 degrees of camber in the front. Uh, Quite soft rear springs. Yeah, so the car will move around, but it'll be controllable moves. So it'll be interesting to see how they sort of do it. Yeah, so quite a quite a long gear ratio as well. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where it sort of goes from there. I'm looking forward to watching the road course. To be honest with you, I think there'll be some good battles there.
And they've got to run up the hill there as well at Watkins Glen, so that long diff ratio is going to play its part in how that goes for them. You definitely want to be in a position to run your own race on lap 1, cold tyres, no brakes, no downforce, and basically nothing really to entice you to try and run the car quickly around a circuit will mean that we should have an exciting start to that race next week.
Yeah, definitely. It's all going to be about getting that momentum drive out of turn 1 and trying to get up in front and up the hill as quick as possible. As we see Foster go to the lane
Go
early.
to the lane early. Carol Walden.
He's absolutely made me look like a dummy tonight because I predicted that he would go as long as possible, but he's actually broken the race practically nearly in half, and he's running it that way. So lap 48 for Foster.
Carol Walden in at the same time as well. So
okay, so the teammates are scheming here. So which will be interesting to see what the other side of them teammates do and what Hardigan does if he stays out and tries to keep that clear air, or if he comes to the lane. It looks like he's coming to the lane this lap.
He's low on the track, then, and he goes.
Beautiful. So we're going to have a real battle here. I might tip that you might see somebody like maybe Scott and maybe Carl stay out and try and go as long as possible. Norman's in as well. So yeah. So you got Carl and Scott Rankin staying out.
Matty Hunter.
Yeah, Matt Hunter stayed out. Foster's just come out of the lane. He's just merging onto the back straight now. And Carol Walden's actually got past Foster on the outlap.
Yeah, he has too. He's down on the inside of the track. We're just on board with them now. So it's very close.
Yeah, so it's interesting to know if Foster had a bad stop or if JCW just had a really good stop there. So this is going to be close for the next half a lap.
If you remember that... no, it wasn't Carol Walden, actually. So the total pit lane transit time for the two drivers, 2 seconds different. In fact, 2.5 seconds difference between Carol Walden and Foster there. So, and that's all in stationary time. So not exit and entry speeds from pit lane. It's literally all stationary time. So he's taken on more fuel there. Carol Walden, more fuel there has Foster. But they stopped on the same lap last time around.
So maybe Foster might have just overshot his box and had to grab reverse and go back a little bit, or there could be just something little like that it is, or I don't know, maybe he didn't set a certain button for a tyre, or some of these guys manually adjust their tyres on each stop. Could be a little bit more fuel, but I would say where they are now, they would both practically fuel that car up just to make sure. But maybe Josh has taken a gamble and underfilled the car in hope that there's a caution and he can save a little bit under caution. So as I watch Jason, who is a good half a straight behind the guys, so where he was right behind Edward, he's now it would be 8 seconds behind. So something's happened there for Jason as well.
Yeah, he had a much longer pit time. He 51 seconds through the lane, 22.5 seconds stationary. So not sure what's happened there, whether there was maybe a little bit of damage that he decided to get repaired or something like that. But yeah, an additional 10 seconds on his stop.
Yeah, that's a big stop. So hopefully he's got the pace to sort of work his way back forward, but with JCW and Edward being close together, I don't know that he's going to have anything. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Carl. Scott Rankin's just come in the lane now, so he's a couple of laps later. So he's got 4-lap newer tyres than Foster. I don't think he's going to have the pace to be there. But if we get a caution and the field bunches back up, 4-lap newer tyres could play a factor into it as well.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that damage will get repaired in this stop as well, so just keeping an eye on him here. Interesting, it looks like he's only taking... No, there he goes there. I was going to say, it's only taking 2 tyres, but he hasn't. He's getting the full set done. And we'll just keep an eye on him as he is out, so none of that damage being repaired at all. Carl Withy now... Pretty much Withy, Hunter and Raymond, our 3 front cars, the only cars not to have made their second transit through pit lane to get enough tyres, so only 4, but get tyres and get enough fuel to run through to the end of this race if we're uninterrupted by another caution period.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just watching Matt Hunter at the moment. He's pulling about 2/10 a lap out of Carl at this point, so I think he'll get to him quite quickly without the pit stop. It's just a matter of when these guys take the gamble to stop, or if they're going to run as long as they possibly can in hopes that there's another caution where a driver makes a mistake or something like that.
Carl's just getting a little bit loose still there through the mid-corner, and we've seen that a little bit from him as Clark goes by, but he keeps just having that little squirm as the gets down deep into the turn-in on the corner, so maybe not the best line for the car at the moment. It's just not quite working for him, so have to be careful there because you don't want to end up Mr. Squiggling your way up into the wall, so as he does come in now, so maybe just struggling a little bit with the tyres there towards the back end of their stint.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think he was driving the car quite aggressively in, maybe a little bit too much wheel mid-corner, and then when he's picking the throttle up, the car's dancing on the exit for him, and he's fighting the car a lot. So with these cars, because they are a bigger, heavier car, they do tend to move around quite a lot. The tyre rocks around a little bit as well, so it all plays into a factor of how the car behaves through the mid-corner, and if you're too aggressive with it, the car's going to be aggressive back with you, and it's going to multiply with how much it moves around.
So Matty Hunter now leading the race. He does still need to make a pit stop. Just keeping an eye on that line. See how he's running. He runs the high line.
Yeah, so he runs right up nice and high, and then he drops right down to the middle in the centre of the corner, and then he lets the car track right back up. So he's trying to... Matt's very much a rhythm momentum driver. He's trying to get that car to carry the speed through the mid-corner, and he's using all the track to arc the car in, then carry the speed out and keep that mid-corner speed up as much as possible.
Well, it works for him. He's been pretty quick in that forward. It's got a little bit of damage on that left-hand front corner. But he's been really consistent in the car. And as I said, it's been interesting to watch the line he takes because he's pretty much the only one who does it. And I must admit, I thought it was the way to get pace out of that Thunderbird, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's just how he drives.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture. I think without knowing how the car behaves, I couldn't really give you a valid answer on that. But knowing Matt the way I do and the way he drives, he's definitely trying to carry that speed more than attack the corner. You'll see some guys that really slide the car in, where Matt's a little bit more gentle on the entry, really, really consistent in the way that he turns the car down, gets the car right down to the middle of the corner in the middle and onto the line, and then he lets the car flow up nice and gently on the exit, and he's just trying to keep that rhythm up the whole way around the circuit.
So he is going to have to pit in. He pitted at lap 21, so we'll see how long he runs the stint for here. We're into lap 58 of 85 in the ANZCAR Grand National penultimate round here at Michigan. So
yeah, so I'm predicting Matt's probably about 10 to 12 laps from his window where he'll pit. He'll run the tank right out, and then what he'll do is he'll short fill 4 tyres, and he'll have fresh rubber coming back at everybody in that last
15 laps.
The last 15, 20 laps of the race. So it'll be interesting to see, because he would have lost a bit of time to the cars he was racing, but having that fresh rubber near the end, and if we get a caution, he's right in this, you know what I mean? He'll stay out and he'll go. So it'll be interesting to see where this plays out, if we do get that other random factor come into it, or if it's just going to be a straight fight to the end now.
Well, and he's just under 22 seconds in front of the first car to have gone through for their final service, which is Carol Walden, and we've got a total pit lane transition time of around about 52 seconds. So what that will do is drop him down to seventh place.
Yeah, he'll be about 10 seconds from being lapped, and he'll be in seventh. Probably sixth place, I reckon he'll come out in, just in that spot there. So depending on where Carl is and where the leaders are at that time. So yeah, so I reckon he'll drop somewhere in sixth and seventh, and he'll be about 10 to 12 seconds off of being lapped, providing he has a nice clean pit stop. But I reckon you'll see him come back at the leaders quite quickly from that point.
Still quite a close battle going on between Carol Walden, I should say, and Foster as well. So just keeping an eye on that one in the background. There's less than around about 0.2 of a second between those two in the effective race lead at the moment. 26 laps to go. Everyone's done a pretty good job again tonight in terms of keeping it clean. We just had those couple of incidents early, so we prefer the green flag racing because it allows strategy and stuff like that to come into it. But a late yellow flag in this one wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. It would give us a very interesting play to the end. I wonder if anyone else would jump in to grab fresh tyres as well, just to make sure that they're ready to go for the run through the pack.
Yeah, I think you would see some guys pit, and I think you'll probably see a couple of guys stay out and take that risk. You know what I mean? Especially if we get that caution in the last 10. I think that's where you'll really see the mixed bag of who does what. I think if it's anything before 10 laps, I think you'll see everybody come in. So as Edward tucks down the inside on Josh into turn 3, going to get nice
real
and
close
to each other.
Literally door to door, could reach out.
Little bit of Rubbins racing.
Reach
little bump through the mid corner.
Slap the door or the window of the car next to you. Credit to those guys for being able to keep it that close as at the moment. They're across the line in a dead heat. So this
they've been racing each other for 3 years now, so they know what each other's strengths and weaknesses are. They know what ticks the other one off, and there's been times where they've definitely got at each other, but they're good hard racers, and I think they both enjoy racing each other.
Switching there, Scott Rankin just in the background, keeping himself in the draft of this battle, but wanting to definitely steer clear. These two guys getting real close, doing a great job. And as a lap car, not necessarily wanting to be involved there, but every right to be there if he's lapping at that time that those guys are.
No such thing as blue flags in oval racing, man.
Oh, I love it.
It's all about you do what's best for you at that time.
Absolutely like that aspect of it. That you don't get told to get out of the way. Albeit that sometimes, as you well know, people still try and tell you to get out of the way. As Matty Raymond comes into pit lane now, so we'll get a bit of a gauge of where Matt Hunter will pop out as we see Raymond make his way down the order, doing his pit lane service. 22 to go still in this one. Scotty Rankin, geez, just wanting to keep clear there. They're all over the shop at the moment. Just trying to find that way to get through and get the gap. On the high line here. If you are looking for a way to get into racing, definitely consider running one of these, the 87s. Fantastic addition to iRacing. Only a few months old, really.
Yeah, they're from the...
We had their April update?
March, April update, yeah, they were. So, yeah, they're a great car. Something a little bit different. There's been a big call in the community for these cars for probably the last 3 to 4 years. So the fact that they've actually been able to source a couple of them and scan them is fantastic. And it just adds that extra element of something a little bit different for guys that are big fans of NASCAR that maybe grew up watching these cars run around in the late 80s, early 90s.
So just I don't get to watch a lot of NASCAR, and where I do, obviously it's generally the main stuff that is on through Foxtel. But is there much of a scene in the States where, like, we've got our historic car racing, they have historic stock car racing? Is that a thing?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm sure that there is a community of it where they do bring the old stuff out. But I think it's more your grassroots racing, like your modifieds and your sport Super Late models and that style of racing in your legend cars. And then it's all about the truck Xfinity and Cup series. I'm not sure there is grassroots wise for these old cars. I know that the ARCA series is older versions of NASCAR as well. So it's like the cars just sort of hand me down to different series for a while, but I'm not sure how far back them cars go.
And I also wonder too if there's a lot of concern about running these things in the modern era, just because obviously there's not a lot of safety involved in them whatsoever, and being steel bodied. One of the things that NASCAR has done a lot of work for, and has contributed to greatly in the motorsport community, is actually improvement of driver safety, because the speed they're doing, the accidents that they have, along with IndyCar, when IndyCar's doing oval track stuff as well. These things definitely not safety a high priority when they were made. So I wonder if there's a little bit of concern about that as well.
I would say there is, but the beauty is the tracks have developed so much with their safety now. Like all these circuits run safer barriers, which is like a big polystyrene wall that just absorbs all that impact, and it doesn't damage the car as much, and it saves the driver a lot. So it sort of disperses the energy in a different way. No different to our tire walls, but they're a little bit more absorbent, I would say, with the safer barriers. So I think track safety's improved quite a bit. Um, but then again, like these cars weren't exactly safe for their
No,
era either. So
not at
um,
all.
whether they've mandated certain roll bars in them or certain harnesses and seats now, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm not really too positive on what the sort of the community aspect is of the historic cars. I'd love to know if somebody knows. Please let us know in the chat below, because yeah, I'm super interested about it. Big fan of NASCAR. I grew up watching it in the '90s, and yeah, I love it. So
Yeah, it's a pity it didn't get up more support in Australia. Obviously, they tried their hardest to get it to work, but just not managing to get it done. Not the right time for that sort of thing to be introduced. As these two continue to battle it out, absolutely dead heat again as we cross the control line there at the back of the track. So we've got 16 to go here. We're still waiting for Matty Hunter to blink. He is 24 seconds up the road. Not
so
really losing any time at all to these
he's
guys.
actually gained 2 seconds on these two fighting. So he's probably rubbing his hands together a little bit here, going, "Yeah, boys, just keep holding each other up here, because it'll give him more hope to come back at him." Especially with I mean, his tires are going to be nearly 20 laps newer. You know what I mean? So he's going to be 4 or 5 tenths a lap faster than him with that sort of pace. 25 to go.
As he's come in now.
He might have a decent crack at these boys near the end, so it'll be close. I reckon he'll get maybe to a top 5 at this point. We'll see where he sort of all pans out. But yeah, I'm quite interested to see where he falls into.
Well, he's making his way down pit lane now. Pull up onto the box nice and quick. Get the job done here. Do you reckon that he might only take 2 tyres?
He may, depending on how much fuel he needs. It might just be quicker for him to take 2. Nah, he's taking 4.
Definitely taking all 4.
It's going to take the 4, and he's going to come at him. So I'm interested to follow his progress. Matt Raymond's actually passed him, so he's going to be roughly around 7th, maybe 8th position, depending on if he can get out before Carl Whitty gets around. Yeah, he's going to. So I reckon you'll see him come into 5th place. He might catch Hardigan in 4th with new tyres like this, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. So as Carl comes around turn 1, Carl's going to get nice and close. Matt's going to get past, but I reckon Matt will come back at Carl very quickly.
Yeah, just wait for those tyres to come up to temp and he'll be off and harassing, I reckon. Think you're right. Can he get up to 3rd? What's he looking at now? He's around about 20 seconds away from Hardigan in third place. As the race has completely set itself now. We've got Carol Walden and Foster back in first and second in this one. And basically trading paint is the call for the night for those two. They have run for the last, about 20 laps. 20 to 25 laps within 2/10 or so of one another. And most of that time actually in a dead heat, just driving next to one another around the whole track. So it has played Hardigan back into this one a little bit. He's only 7 seconds behind, but he is on old tyres as they are. And then we've got behind him Matty Raymond on the freshest or second freshest set of tyres, followed by Matt Hunter, who has just finished his pit lane transition.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just watching Matt's first lap to see what it's going to be, to see what the pace difference is between him and the leaders. But I reckon... Okay, so first lap was a 42.9 to Carol Walden. So he was actually 4/10 slower that lap. So the tyres are obviously still coming up to temp. So I give him another lap or two. I reckon he'll clear Carl in the next lap. And then I reckon he'll be able to get some... He's got 9 seconds to Norman up ahead. So I think that's when you'll start to see him make that game, when he's got that little bit of clear air.
Important to note as well, his fastest lap tonight's a 42.37, and I don't really see that the track has developed that much in terms of pace. So he may get the advantage. We'll just have to see. And as usual with these things, always giving us something to look at right through to the end of the race. Definitely not decided by any stretch of the imagination, with our leaders at the moment doing keeping things nice and close with a very, very shallow gap between them there. So less than 2/10 of a second, first and second. We've also got now, as you say, Matty Hunter coming up on Carl Withy there. He's actually getting the job done down the inside, so moving up one spot there into 6th position. So he's going to cut that down on the inside and now be in pursuit of Norm Clark. So keep an eye on this lap time here, as he's done a 42.37 there. So, sorry, 42.19 there. So the fastest man on the track. Just noticed there as well, Foster's actually managed to get the lead through onto Carol Walden, so he's going to try and cut and run, but Carol Walden's not going to have much of that. He will try and get the run around the outside. That won't work for him, but if he jumps back up onto the back of Foster, he actually lost a little bit of time there on the exit, so Foster managing to break away a little bit there. The draft will help somewhat, but that'll be the gap that Foster wants to try and build on now with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now that he's cleared him, I think he'll try and hustle the car a little bit. I think he was not toying with Josh, but I think he was just being patient about it. He knows now they're going to have 9 to go this lap, so he'll start to put the foot down now, and I don't think you'll see Josh get back past him.
Just managing it through, you reckon?
Yeah, I think he's just being patient. Foster's very calculated in the way he drives. He knows how long the race is. He knows where his car's at. He knows what his equipment's like. So he'll be playing that waiting game, and he'll make the right move at the right time for it. So I think he's realised now it's go time, although Josh isn't going to give it to him, and Josh is going to come back at him.
So just checking in with Matty Hunter there just to see how he's going. That gap now still at about 11.5 seconds. And as you say, Carol Walden coming right back here, trying to get the lead back off Foster, trying to break or wreck the party here of 5 in a row. So definitely the only man at this stage who can challenge him for it. And he's not relenting one little bit, and nor should he either. So we'll see how this gets up for them both. So jump on the gearbox here, you can see nice and close. Going to come up and say hello, is he? Yep, hello. Nice to see you there. It doesn't get any closer than that. Gives you a good look at the suspension on the inside there, as the camera perspective's a little bit out, but gives you the idea that it's very, very close. So
Josh is toying with him at the moment. He's just rubbing that that front bar across his back bar, just to unsettle Edward a little bit here. So Josh is very good at putting the car where you don't want him to put the car. So as you can see, he's trying to get right up on that quarter panel on the outside, or he's just got
he's
the
topped
wall.
them both. Yeah, that's no good at all. A little bit of damage there to both cars, but fortunately, no damage done to pull them both out of the race. That has meant a half a second gap opening up between Carroll Walden and Foster there. This is not quite what we wanted there. We've got Hunter has opened up a gap a little bit on Withy, but he's not really closing in on Norm Clark in front of him. That gap's still around about 12 seconds between Matty Hunter and Norm Clark, despite the fresh tyres.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest with you. I mean, his tyres are nearly, where's Norm? 48, 70. So they're 22 laps newer. Like, I'm really surprised he's not chunking time out of Norman Clark here. It's, he seems like the car's sort of hit a bit of a wall here because he's on average about 3 or 4 tenths a lap side than Norman at this point in time.
Generally not what we see. So maybe the track has gone a little bit off as well. You know, we're looking at mid-42s for our leaders, and even with those fresh tyres, Matty Hunter last lap at 43.1. In fact, nearly a 43.2.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit sort of confused by that situation because I really believed 20 lap newer tyres, he should be absolutely hauling at the moment. So, because even you can see when Matt Raymond pitted, he made some time. Like, he was only 2 seconds behind Matt, and he's now 17 seconds in front of him. So, I don't know what's going on with Matt. Maybe he's got an issue, but yeah, he's not at the pace he should be at.
So it looks like at this stage it is going to be Foster who's going to take another win in this series, which will, if it wasn't already sorted out last week, will certainly sort out this week the outcome of this championship. So he will enter the last round as we head to Watkins Glen with basically a fun race to be had. And he suggests that circuit racing is not his strength in this car, so good way to go there without any pressure or any requirement to perform any more than normal. So that looks like that's going to be the case for us.
Yeah, definitely. But I know Edward, and I know that he'll want to go 6 in a row. So him saying that he's not that strong at road racing, I don't believe. I reckon he'll come out and he'll come swinging next week. So I think the boys will have their work cut out for him. Definitely. I think there's some strong road racers in the pack, but yeah, I wouldn't discount Edward. Put it that way. So it's there's still a lot of racing obviously next week, and yeah, he'll come out swinging for sure.
So we're on to 2 laps to go, I should say. So that is that for it. I'm just double checking. We've still got Raymond and Clark's closing up here as well. So this one we might be able to see if they can get something done. Particularly Clark coming through there. He is actually slightly quicker at the moment than Raymond, so he may get onto the back here and use the draft to catch up. So just keep a quick eye on this one before we jump back on board with Foster when he brings it around to take out the race win here.
Yeah, you may see Norman go for a last lap pass here. He's definitely got a bit of momentum and speed over Matt, so it's just a matter of putting the car in the right position at the right time and making that move stick. I reckon you might see him have a crack down into 3 on the last lap.
And it may just be coincidental, but all of the cars that pitted late have dropped off the pace.
Yeah, they have, which it really surprises me.
Doesn't make any sense at all.
No, so I'm starting to think maybe the track's gotten to a certain point and the guys with the older tyres are able to sort of maintain the car a little bit more.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, maybe those new tyres just not getting up quick enough to actually get it done. So
yeah, that's it. Here's Norman having a good odd run. Congratulations to Foster on another great win.
Just run that across the line there. We covered that one there. We're just going to quickly jump back on board with this because I think we might have a situation where we're going to get a dive. He might just have lost a little bit too much pace there.
Yeah, I think
He's
Matt's
not going to
just been
get it
able to hold him
done.
off.
Yeah, so a good run to try and get that done at the end there, and a good race from all our drivers again tonight. We've been lucky with the quality of the racing, and it's annoying too because Carol Walden there was really giving Foster a hard time until that tiny little mistake just cost him that 2 or 3 tenths. And that's all that it takes sometimes to put you out of the running for the win here. But a great drive from Carol Walden and Jason Hardigan just showing a bit of a slide there and that big slide in the background. He basically up 10 spots. Fantastic result for him as well. So a good run from him from the back of the pack. And that is it for us for another week of ANZCAR. We'll try and grab our podium, Foster, Carol Walden, Hardigan into the booth and have a quick chat with them as they become available. But yeah, definitely well driven. I keep saying I really hope that we do end up getting a few more. I just see the car there appear on Victory Lane. That's interesting. I think that was Edward just putting it there. I'm not sure that's part of the programming, but it'd be great to get a few more cars into this series so that we can bulk up the field a bit more and get a few more battles going. So we'll just bring Edward and Josh in here. Just waiting for Jason to come along as well. He's jumped in as well, so we'll bring him in. Well, guys, good battle, Ed and Josh. Good battle there right at the end between you two. Just a little bit of bad luck getting in the way of what we thought was going to be a picture finish.
Yeah, we were getting after it. It was good fun. It's like just ridiculous the way that you can overlap. One guy will go down the inside, run wide. The next guy can take the absolute opposing line and get a run back. It was really cool for the racing. I didn't think. I think I said last week that the cars were likely to be a bit closer here than they sort of have been at the other tracks, but I didn't expect it to quite be like that. But yeah, it was great. You could get a run anytime you wanted. Make moves anytime you wanted, and etc. So yeah, it was really cool.
Lap after lap after lap, the split between you guys was literally dead heat. I think 4 or 5 laps in a row, it was just dead heat, dead heat, dead heat, dead heat. So yeah, it was really good for us to be able to watch it there. And Josh, just a little bit of bad luck there with the touch, but unfortunately not putting you both out of the race, but sort of ending that charge that you were on to try and stop Edward from winning a race one week. So a good run for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Stuart. Yeah, no, that was really, really good fun racing there, and yeah, like there were only about 6 odd laps to go, and I was trying to hold Ed down to the inside, so he burned his tires off a little bit more. Because essentially at the time I was actually pretty happy to stay behind and make a move with 1 to 2 laps to go, but yeah, I decided to keep my foot in there, and yeah, this time around, I got more of the fence than he did, so that could have been the end of both of our races. So yeah, but no, it was real good fun racing, and yeah, I don't blame Ed for doing that at all. It's just how racing is, and yeah, I'm sure you, Stuart, and you, Chris, you both know full well that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely can.
exactly right.
Go on, Chris.
No, that's it. It's been awesome to watch you guys race tonight, obviously. So just wanted to recap a little bit about the pit stop, because obviously, did you have an issue in the stop, Edward? Because you were sort of a couple of seconds in front of Josh, but then you sort of came out neck and neck, and then obviously Jace was right there, and then he was sort of 6 seconds behind. So what exactly happened there?
Well, Josh and I both took 2, and Jason took 4 because he'd taken 2 earlier on in the race. So we had a shorter stop. And as for the ground that Josh made on me, he just nailed his pit stop. It's as simple as that. I was a little bit conservative. I was actually a little bit worried that I'd spared coming in, but yeah, it didn't ping me for it. So yeah, but Josh just nailed the entry. And
yeah, I was pretty much locked brakes trying to get the thing slowed down so I didn't speed myself. So yeah, and also as well, I didn't fill the tank quite up, so I took a bit of a risk on the fuel as well. So yeah, well, I was a bit surprised myself when I was right behind Ed, and I'm like, oh, here we go, race is on here, and tried to make the most of it.
Yeah, we were conjecturing which it was, whether it was maybe overshot the pit bay or the marks, I should say, or whether or not it was fuel related, but it certainly gave us something good to watch at the end there, so that was great. And Jace, a good run from you, mate, up 10 spots.
Yeah. I stuffed up quali and I was just cruising most of the race. I decided to take 2 tyres in the middle stop, and me and Ed had to put a bit of a show on, and we're laughing and carrying on as we're just racing each other. So and then came out. Had to take 4 tyres because I took 2 earlier on, and basically I pulled about 2 seconds on them, but I got the wall, so I just backed off and cruised for the rest of the race. Really.
Yeah, well, it was good to see you get up there, and obviously we've put the dollars on you for next week. We're having a bit of a chat about it during the race to say that's the round for someone to break this series of victories that Edward's been running. So we've put the kiss of death on you, and looking forward to hopefully
No pressure.
No pressure at all, mate, none whatsoever. And we will be watching, obviously. So no pressure at all. But we're looking forward to getting out to Watkins Glen next week to conclude the series. I think, Ed, it's not too premature to say that you've got this one wrapped up now.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, Hamish didn't make it in tonight, and he was really the only one within striking distance of us. So you get 175 points for a win. I think I went into this race around about 130 points ahead. So with 175 tonight plus the bonuses for leading laps and so on, it's well secure now. So I can pressure's off for Watkins Glen. I can just show up there, watch Jason drive off into the distance, and hopefully have somebody to fight with myself.
I wouldn't discount yourself yet. I think there'll be a decent battle there.
Only if you're going to take me across to Virtual Motorsport Mentor, mate, and teach me a couple of tricks, because otherwise I think I'm stuffed otherwise.
I know a bit about road course racing, so I might be able to give you a little hand.
Yeah, no problem.
We were having a laugh at how basically these are great cars to run on circuit racing, except for the fact that they don't handle, they've got no aero, and they can't stop. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got the aerodynamics is very much inspired by a driveway paver.
Yeah.
So it does make things a little bit interesting. But at the same time, I mean, the way that the suspension works on these things, you're going to see cars three-wheeling through the corners. They're going to be sideways. It's going to be really, really good to watch, I think. So, looking forward to it.
You get me excited. I might have to come and make a little guest appearance.
Aren't you still sick? No, we can't say that on air. It's good. We're looking forward to it, and if you wanted to do that, it'd certainly make for some interesting viewing for us. Albeit we've loved having you in the comm box as well tonight, giving us a fair bit more information than we've been able to give in the past. I've enjoyed learning a lot tonight. It's been good. So and with that. About time for us to bring everything here to an end on FGM ECast for another week with ANZCAR. I did allude to the fact that we've got a little catch-up after this to just discuss what is going to happen at the conclusion of this series next week. So excited to start bringing you some information on that one as it comes to hand over the balance of the week and into next week. So still plenty here to come on your Wednesday night. So don't decide to do anything else, as we've got some more stuff for you with ANZCAR in the future. Thank you to our podium getters. Chris, obviously thank you very much to yourself, Virtual Motorsport Mentor. Again, just another plug for Chris and his team. And we will see you again tomorrow night. We've got NZSR racing again, and coming from my favourite place to race, Spa, or one of my favourite places to race. I like racing everywhere, to be brutally honest. But yeah, one of my favourite places to race. We're coming to you live from Spa. That'll be on from 6 o'clock tomorrow night. So join us again for that one, and thank you again for joining us this evening. We've enjoyed entertaining you.